Good morning. I hope everyone's doing well. I sent out an email and made an announcement yesterday of what all I'm going to cover today. And I met with a few of you in person yesterday who needed some extra help. Anyone needing extra help, I can stick around after class too. Class might go a little bit longer today. You see, am I taping? Okay, I guess I am. Yeah, I think I'm taping. Yes. Okay. But if we are not done by about 10:45 or 10:50, we'll take a brief break because there are several tutorials that I need to go over with you today and several assignments. That before we get started, any questions about the podcast assignment? Is everybody completing that okay? You can just blurt it out if you want. Let's see. Okay. All right. So, without further ado, I'll get set up for the infographic assignment. Okay, I will share my screen with you. Okay, so what an infographic is it's a pictorial or image that quickly communicates numbers or stats or an idea. There are all different kinds of infographics. I'm sure if you just Google infographics, infographic examples, and go with images, these are, as you can see, typical infographics. So one particular, like this particular site right here. Now you do have to use real numbers. You have to cite the website where you got your information. You have to copy and paste that into your infographic. All infographics that are legit have some kind of reference that the viewer can turn to and verify, well, yes, that is correct. So now, is everybody seeing this US wine consumption? Yes, no, maybe?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. All right, so I wanted to, if I wanted to illustrate wine consumption from, let's say, 1934 to now, this would be pretty boring. Does everyone agree that, oh, in 1934, the average adult consumed uh, a quarter of a gallon of wine per year? Gee, that doesn't seem like very much. I could do that in a weekend pretty easily. But then, as you see, well, it looks like wine consumption has increased, but to keep repeating these numbers for each year would be very boring. So the best way to communicate this, and it looks like we peaked in 2021 and then it kind of went down a little bit. Uh, we peaked in 20 and 21. Gee, funny how that kind of ties in with the lockdown. So no surprises there. But there are several ways that you could communicate this. Um, any suggestions on how you might creatively show a bar graph on this? How about a bar graph made out of wine bottles or something like that, because then that would quickly communicate that, right? So now I'm going to demo this in using Easily, but if you have something else that you prefer to use, some people like Canva, some people like Illustrator, some people like InDesign. I happen to like Easily, and they will give you a free account. You just have to sign up for it. So using Easily, we can, uh, I've already started this one, so let me, yeah, yes. So you can change your background, you can pick your backgrounds, any plain color. I would recommend a plain color. You're going to do two infographics, two completely different. One that you build from scratch, and one where maybe you could use a template. They've got all kinds of templates here that you can use. Uh, this particular one is good like for timelines. This one also is good for timelines. Um, they have some bar graph type things if you want to do something like for comparison. Some of these are kind of cluttered looking. If you're doing something around the world, they've got all kinds of maps comparing women to men for something. They've got all kinds of templates for that. But feel free to use uh, if you've used Canva or something else, feel free to use that. One, you can use a template. One, you can build from scratch. Okay. So we've got categories of things that you can bring in. You've got text, like for instance, if I want to put the title here, I just double click and then I can put my title in and put U.S. wine. And I'll say by decade because I'm not going to do every year. Okay, now that's not wide enough and not big enough, so I can actually just click on that. And I can move it around. You can go into text, you can make it bigger, you can make it bolder, whatever you want to do. If you want to get rid of something, you can. Now, looking at graphics, you can look at people, you can search, or you can see what other things they have, like food or beverages. I think I found this under food. I'm not really sure. There's a variety of things that you can do there, though. Maybe I should look under beverage. So it could be a wine glass, it could be a wine bottle. Scrolling through here. I'm not seeing the wine bottle. So maybe it was under food. Maybe I found it under wine. I don't know. But I do know I need to find it. Okay, let's look under food. Oh, there it is right there. So when you bring that on, you can make it wider, bigger, taller. So if I wanted to make a bar graph out of that, for instance, what I'm going to start by doing is I'm going to have I'm going to start probably with some lines, and I'm going to do a line. And I better pick a color for that. Lines, photos, animation. Third chair. Command Z can be your favorite command. There's also some charts. Oh, that's a chat. I'm sorry. Graphic. So different text. So like for instance, if you wanted to do a bar graph over time, you might start with small one. We're going, and then if you want to duplicate something, you can with Command C, I believe. And then you can make that bigger. So like if this stood for 1 gallon or something per year, then this might be 2 gallons. You would make your chart accordingly. Now, some cool things that you can do is if you want to share it, if you want me to look at it, you can like invite a friend to look at it. And so then you put in my email address and you send it. Maybe you've got some questions about it and we can talk about it. Saving it only saves it to your account. So what you want to do before you upload it, you want to download it. If you download it as, do not download it as a PDF. Do not download as a PDF, and I'll tell you why, because it trims it and makes it look awkward. So only go with low quality or high quality. Low quality will give you a JPEG. High quality will give you a PNG. Okay. Always name it your name. There is a tutorial on here for Easily that you can watch. It's linked once you sign up to Easily. It's very easy to use and it's free for you. And they offer a pretty cool deal for students. I think it's something like $30 for a year. And if you're going into this kind of work, it's nice to have access to all that. Any questions about that? So, when you do your, let me show you one other thing here. So you have to put your source. Okay, so I'm going to go right here. I'm going to copy this. And then I'm going to go back here. I'm going to go to text and I'll do this. I'll double click in there. All right. And then I can make that smaller. I'm going to go here. Oops. I'm going to play with that. I'm going to double click in there and get rid of this click to change. Okay, now this is what you can do with this. You can put it all the way at the bottom. You can also, there is a way, hang on. There is a way to turn it sideways. I forget how you do that. But you could put this all the way at the bottom. You don't, or you could put it on the side. So you can put it all the way at the bottom. You can design your infographic to be landscape or portrait. It doesn't matter, but you do have to have this reference of where you got the information. Any questions about that?
Sorry, I have a couple questions. I don't know if you answered them already. Um, so how many like charts do we need for each infographic? Like a bar graph or whatever you were saying. How many do we need
Well,
for each?
what you want to use an appropriate type. So if you're doing a comparison, for instance, um, let me just pull up a site here. Okay, so for instance, okay, so let me share this with you. For instance, this is going to be in keeping with your theme. So if your theme is animals or pets, you might do popular dog breeds. Now, there are several different ways you can do that. Some might do like this one here. This one here shows, gives you like a list kind of thing. Like this is the number one, this is the number two. Um, so it's not necessarily going to be a bar graph. Okay, different types of dogs. I mean, you could.
Oh, yeah, I see.
Okay, so you're going to do the traveling. You can look to other infographics as examples, but you're going to build one yourself. Okay. Um, and you don't have to make it complicated. Like most of these that I see here, I think that that's way too complicated. This one here is way too complicated. You want to keep it easy. Like this one is easy. Um, you want it to be simple. You want it to communicate a lot without having to like 10 most popular puppies. Then you can have pictures of each one, uh, things like that. Graduation rates for women versus men.
And these statistics, can it just be any website we find, or does it need to be like a database sort of thing?
Well, it needs to be legit. I mean, I don't, it needs to be something legit. Okay.
Yeah. But it doesn't
Okay.
need to be like a super hardcore like database thing, does it? Because
Yeah.
I think with my topic it's gonna be yeah, difficult for
Okay.
that.
What is your topic?
EDM, like electronic dance music.
Okay. Oh, graphics. Okay. So, now one thing for sure, you want to make sure don't have a whole bunch of type because people won't read it. Shorter is always better. And I can show you, I mean, just make it as succinct as you can. But if you're going to do comparisons or best selling, I mean, look and see what other, like this right here, way too much type on this, way too much type. Um, Live shows and music festivals. How about cost? How about the cost of going to these concerts? So
Mhm.
that would be something that you could do. If anybody needs help finding it, you probably just want to look up something like EDM statistics or statistical comparisons and see which one you're going to do. You don't have to communicate a million things. You just want to keep it simple. You really, especially for your first one, you want to keep it simple and make sure you're picking contrasting colors. So, for instance, if you've got green as a background, like if you've got light green as a background, don't make dark green the color of your font. You want really good contrast. That's something that I'm looking for. And while we're talking about it, why don't we go ahead and look at the assignment itself, what I'm going to be looking for when I look at your infographics. Okay, so for the infographic, and so that's the first one you're going to do. You need to have a different source for each one, and there needs to be a link. Okay. When you save your, I don't care if it's a JPEG or a PNG, but save it as your name. Don't save it as infographic because I have to download all of them. And then I wind up with 16 files called infographic 1 and 16 files called infographic 2. You'll only forget this one time because I will take 2 points off if you call it anything but your name. So it's going to be Joe Blow 1, Joe Blow 2. It needs to have good color choices. They need to contrast. Communicate your stats and numbers effectively. What's the most effective way to communicate what you want to say? Is it going to be with a bar graph? Is it going to be with a pie chart? You can do either one. I've got, here's a link right here to using Easily and how to find infographic templates on Easily and how to very easily create your first infographic. I don't want to eat up your time by showing this because you can do this one on your own time. I do highly recommend going pro. They'll let you go pro. Make sure you use your SJSU. Now, I pay about 3 times that amount for the pro, but it really comes in handy. So if you're working on the daily, or you're doing magazine work, you're working on for Access or the Spear, or you're working on Update News, I can put you in charge of doing infographics if that's your thing. I can tell you this, that if you're good at infographics, there's a job waiting for you when you get out of school. So I highly recommend that you look at these tutorials. Now, I do have this due as day after tomorrow, but if you guys need a little bit more time on it, if it becomes too overwhelming, I can certainly extend that, but we do have several assignments coming up. So I'm just trying to wrap up our very, very short semester on that. But be sure that you look at that. Be sure that you look at that, the assignment and the rubric there. Okay. Any other questions about the infographic? Because I do want to go over some other ones as well, some other assignments. I want to go over the Photoshop assignment. Now, the Photoshop assignment, you have to use a photo that you take, and I'm going to tell you why. Because if it's a photo you get off the internet, it's not going to be big enough. Yeah, I know. That's what she said. So anyway, how do you know what size it is? And I don't mean 8 by 10. What I mean is when you look at it, hang on just a sec. So if we look at, okay, let's see, where do we have pics? My computer's kind of slow. Hang on. Okay, so let me just share this with you. Oops. Okay, so if you have a folder just for your photos, then it's going to look something like this. It'll have the image, JPEG, and look over here and it'll have the size. You want something that is at least 1.0 megabytes. if it's like 800 kilobytes, it's going to be too small. And for the most part, anything that you download from the internet is going to be pretty small. So if you take a photo with your phone, okay, I'm going to assume that most of you have taken a photo with your phone and then you've perhaps sent it to someone via email. And then if you've got, I don't know what other phones do, but I know on my iPhone, it comes up and it wants to know how big I want to send that, how big I want that file to be. Do I want it to be the original size? Do I want it to be large, medium, or small? Just say original size and it'll be a big file, because the whole purpose of the Photoshop assignment is to learn how to size it down. You can't start with something small and make it bigger. Sorry. You can start with something bigger and make it smaller. So, like, let's say if you go to copy a postage stamp and you want to blow it up to poster size, you're going to lose a lot of quality. But if you start with something that's poster size and size it down to like a 3x5, you can have really good quality. The purpose of this assignment is that when you go, if you go to work for NBC Bay Area or some agency and you're working on their website, you can't have every file original size, and you don't have to. How do we view most files? On our phone. We don't view them at a drive-in theater or at a Cineplex. We view most things either on our laptop or on our phone. And you can have extremely high quality by taking the size down, which will make your bosses happy because then you don't have to buy more memory or more space. Okay. So this particular assignment, what you're going to do, let me pull it up. Hang on. Photo assignment. Okay, so the photo assignment. So I've got the Photoshop assignment and the infographic due the same day. So maybe I'll make the infographic due on the 28th. This Photoshop assignment is actually one that you can do in about 5 minutes. And I would say start with that one. Okay, so what you do, you're going to upload 4 pictures. One will be called your name, Joe Blow Original. What does this say? 150. So there's going to be 150, 450, filter, and original. Okay, so once you you will upload 4 JPEGs for this assignment. One will be your name, Joe Blow Original, where you've done nothing to it. Okay, then another one will be Joe Blow 450, and you're just going to get close and you'll see what I mean. Another one will be 150, and one will be filter, Joe Blow filter. Okay, you do not upload these pictures to your blog until further notice. I'm going to have you do something else. This says start with an image that's 2 megs or bigger. If it's at least 1 meg, you'll be fine, but certainly don't go below that. If you start with something small, you cannot make it bigger. Just know that. I've got some great tutorials here, but I'm going to demo this and how you save it. Okay. So let me pull up. Photoshop. And I'll share this with you. And I think I've got some tutorials under files on this as well. Okay, so once you get Photoshop opened, you just go new file. And if it's not defaulted to measure in inches, you should do that because that's pretty much the way we communicate. We don't talk in points or picas, or we just talk in inches. And depending on whether it's a landscape or a portrait, you can pick accordingly. Okay, so I think the picture I have is actually portrait oriented. And then you say create. And right here, I can go to, oops, image, or I can find the image that I want. Go to my file and find the image that I want. I think this is it here. So you can just drag it on. I'm going to drag that on. Now, you see that it does not fill this whole area. It's very important that you do something to make it fill the whole area, and do not distort it. So you'll have to pull it by one of the corners to make it so that there's no white showing. So pick accordingly. Okay, so I picked this one, and then I can go to save as. Well, you got to place it first. Make sure you place it. So I'm going to save this one as my name. Okay, we'll say my name. Or original. Okay, and where do I want to save it? I want to, is it telling me? I want to save it on my computer. And so once you say on your computer, you can go to wherever, like your desktop or whatever. So if it's the desktop, or it could go into, actually, what I'm going to do is put it in MCOM63. How crazy. Now, I don't want to save it as a PSD. I want to save it as, so you, over here under the format, I want to make that a JPEG. Okay. Everybody with me? And now it gives me this thing here, and it tells me how big it is. So right here, if I go all the way over here, this is, again, this is my original. I'm going to save it as a 2.0 original. We're good. Okay. Now, if I go to my MCOM63 file, I see, there it is. There it is, and it's huge. Okay. And I can also see that it's a 2.1 megabyte. So it's way too big to use on a website, because that would suck up our memory very quickly. Now, the rest of this gets even easier. This time I'm going to do save as my name. 450, you can only get close. And I want to save it on my computer. I want to save it in my MCOM63 folder. I want, go here to format. I want to save it as a JPEG. And then I'll say save. And now this time I want to get this as close to 450 kilobytes as I can. And you can only get close. You can't really nail it. 441, that's close enough for government work. I say, okay. And now I've got that. Now I do save as on my computer. I want to save it as my name. 150, this is going to be a really small file. I'm going to say save. Oh, and I'm going to save it as a JPEG. Save. This time I want to get as close to 150 as I can. 273, it looks like is the closest I can get. So I'll go with that. So that's why it's important to pick something that's like between 1 and 2, because that will limit how small you can go to. And I'll say, okay. And now the fun part, you can go to filter. So there's all different kinds of filters that you can use. Like there's a pixelating. There's one that's that I really like oil paint. And you can determine how severe or slight it is. I can make that even more. So I'm going to say Z and Z. And I'm going to go to filter. Oops. And I'm going to go to stylize. You can do tiles. See what that does. But you can see that it's got some texture in it now. And we can just keep going back. Okay, now some other ones that you can do is blur or distort, like with ripple. Say okay. And it gives a ripple effect. So you'll save this one as pixelate. So you could totally pixelate it and have it look like that. So you'll call this one, I'll take that one and do a save as my name to my computer. Filter. Okay, and I want to save that as a JPEG. And I'll do save. And it doesn't really matter. The size of this one, could be somewhere between 150 and 500. Okay, now when I go to my MCOM63 folder, let me go back here to share. Oops. Okay, now I'll go to share and I will go to, where is that folder? Is this it? Okay, so this is my MCOM63 folder. You'll see I've got my name filter, my name 150, my name 450, my name original. These 4 is what you will upload to Canvas. Questions, comments, protests, rebuttals? Okay. So I need to also demo the storyboard assignment, which is basically just your outline for your video. And so I think what we'll do is now we've already watched a couple of example videos. I think I'll go over the video assignment, then we'll take a short break. How does that sound?
That sounds good. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. At least somebody's awake. Okay, let's go over the video assignment. So what you're going to do is you're going to, by the way, I did cut all these assignments, like you're only doing about a third of the assignments that are typically done during the semester. Why? Because I'm a giver. That's why. So you're going to do the one that's called news package. It is worth 10 points. So let me go over that one, and then we'll take a short break before I demo using Premiere. And some of you, for those of you who've already been on Update News, then this is review for you. But what you're going to do, first of all, you're going to do a newsy type of video. And I've got 2 of them here. Okay. You want to have, and it must be shot in landscape. Do not shoot vertically, portrait. You need to do, this needs to be something that you shoot now. It can't be something that you shot a long time ago. There needs to be some kind of interview where you talk to somebody. It helps if you use a grip or a tripod, but if you don't have it, that's okay. But what you're going to do, you're going to shoot a video that tells a story. Now I showed these in class. I think it was last time or time before that, but feel free to watch them again. This one here, that's Baran's podcast, is perfect. I absolutely love it. So that was actually shot during the lockdown, so he didn't get to do an in-person interview. So he used a shot, a still shot of someone, which is fine. But now that we're not in the lockdown, interview somebody, and it needs to be about your topic. It needs to be a minimum of 1.5 minutes long and a maximum of 2 minutes. In other words, if it's under 1.5 minutes or it's over 2 minutes, you're losing points. So keep that in mind. Once it's edited, you probably want to come in at about somewhere around 1.5, and then you can add your title slide and your end slide. Okay. Then you're going to upload your MP4 file, because this will be saved as an MP4 file. You'll upload that to YouTube, and then you'll post the link on Canvas. Keep in mind that if you are using any kind of copyrighted music, YouTube will take you down, and you don't want to do that. Here are some tips I've given you on successful, how to create a successful video package. Oops, I need to update that. I will do that while we are on break. Things that you need to include. You need to have lower thirds, which means you need to identify the person you're interviewing. And all of that is in the examples too. We've got an example of camera angles. Be sure to use a variety of camera angles. Typically, you start with an establishing shot. I've got some examples here. And I think what I'll do is I will update some of these tips and go over it when we come back. Then I'll do the Premiere editing when we come back. We're going to take about a 10-minute break, if that's okay. And then I'll do Premiere. Any questions before we go? I know I'm covering a lot today. I'm going to extend the infographic deadline and update one of those links. Okay, I'll see you back here in about 10 minutes. Okay. Okay, now I'm recording again. So there's also a storyboard assignment, which is basically just to outline what you're going to video. Now, let's see, is Madison Wilbur with us today? Madison, are you here? There she is. Can you hear me, Madison? Madison, are you there? Okay. Well, Iber, you're here. Can you hear me, Iber?
Yes.
Okay. So you want to get some extra points. Instead of coming up with a brand new video, because I know you were on update and Madison was on update, create a how to do a news video showing how to do the lower thirds, and just videotape it on your laptop, and you give me that and I will give you extra points, because if you just look at all the different elements, it's basically how to do a news package, like for update. So if you don't have any ideas for what you want to do your news package on, then a how-to will suffice nicely.
Cool, awesome.
Now, has everybody been able to access the Adobe Suite successfully, I hope? If you haven't, you might have to go get some tech support on campus. They're very, very helpful. But for this assignment, you do need to use Adobe Premiere. Okay. And I will demo that. So I guess it would help if I share my screen, wouldn't it? Okay. Okay, so you start by opening up Adobe Premiere and new project. Guess what you're going to name it? You're going to name it your name. Okay. What just happened? Let's try that again. Okay, so you can start by naming it your name. And go to import. I'm sorry, go to edit. So this is where you do sequences. This is where you view what you've just edited. Lower right-hand corner, this is your timeline. And over here, this is where you import all of your assets. So if you click on this lower left-hand box, then you go to File, and then to Import, then you can pick the files that you want to import. So if I want to import my video clips, for instance, things that are basically an MP4, or let's see what I have here. Okay, I've got this from Bruges, this from Germany. So I'll import those. You can also import still shots and utilize those as well. So I'll import a few still shots just for fun. Bluebird interior, Bluebird exterior. None of these really go together, but okay. So let's say I want to edit this clip here now to make a sequence out of this. And remember now, anything that you edit, that you cut out, the whole thing still exists. Okay, it's not like you're really cutting it and putting it on the cutting room floor. So if I go to this clip right here and I double tap it, it comes up here to my window where I can make a sequence. Let's see what that looks like. Okay, that's the whole clip. But let's say I don't want to use that whole thing. So you see these little brackets here. This one on the left is to mark it in. This one on the right is to mark it out. So if I go ahead and start this and then click on this right here, this mark it in, that's where I want my this particular scene to start. So I'm going to just click on this to play. But I want it to come in with the horse. Right here. Okay, that's where it comes in. And then I want it to go out right there. Okay, so if I click and drag this down here, I get the video and the audio. So I just bring it down to my timeline and then I play it down here. This is my edited piece, which you can view up here on the right. But the whole thing still exists. Okay, now sometimes you maybe just want to bring the video only and not the sound. You can do that by just grabbing this little thing that looks like a film clip and drag that to your timeline. Or if you only wanted the sound, you could drag that and use something else for your visual. Now let's say I want to do this one right here, which is another video. Let's see what this looks like. Okay, so let's play that again. I'll show you what I want to bring in. So I want it to come in with, when she starts singing. Oops, I changed my mind. Right there. Okay, so that's where I want it to go out. And I click and drag it down to my timeline. And so now I've got two things together. Okay, so if you wanted to even put a still shot in there, you could. And you can just drag that straight to your timeline. I think. Okay, so how long do I want that on there? I've got it up here. Let's see how long we've got it for. I've got it for about 5 seconds. Let's make it about 4 seconds. I think. Now, so you see that there's no sound there. Now, if you want to shorten the amount of time that it's on there, you just kind of click on it. And if you hover over it, this little red thing pops up and bring it down to about 4 or 5 seconds, perhaps. Let's see what we have here. So we're going from 19 to 24, maybe a little bit shorter. Okay, so you're going to need some kind of sound there. You can import sound, or it could be a voiceover for your sound. Questions so far?
Looks good to me. It makes sense.
Okay, so this is not due until the very last day of our class. Unfortunately, I can't extend anything beyond the last day of class because I'll have to enter grades, but I would like you all to get started on this so that if there's things that you need me to go over next week, I can do that. I wanted to also let you know that on Friday and on Monday, I can be available for some tutorials via Zoom. So you just use the same link. If you want to come in at about 10 on Friday, I'll be here to answer your questions. Same on Monday. Otherwise, I will see you all on Tuesday at same bat time, same bat channel. Yes? No, maybe?
That
Sounds
sounds good. Thank you.
Okay. And you all know how to reach me, and anybody who wants to stick around, who has additional questions, I'll stick around for a few minutes. Otherwise, see you Friday, Monday, or Tuesday. For sure on Tuesday. Okay. Have a great weekend.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm just a little confused on I'm still trying to figure out WordPress.
Uh-huh.
Um, so I'm having problems with the blog assignment because I don't know, I think I just need to mess around with WordPress more, but the read more just comes from literally just typing out